Phlebas the Phoenician, a fortnight dead. The penultimate section of the wasteland, the fourth section of the wasteland, Death by Water, has a very interesting opening. We usually begin with birth, but here we begin with death. It is characteristic of the wasteland that the section begins with death. Not merely death, death which took place 2 weeks back. Not recent death, but death which took place a fortnight back. Phlebas the Phoenician, a fortnight dead. The Phoenicians were a seafaring people. They were traders. Phlebas is a typical Phoenician. He died 2 weeks back. He has forgotten the cry of gulls and the deep sea swell. The gull is a seabird. The gull is a long-winged, web-footed seabird. Swell is a large wave. He has forgotten the deep sea swell, the large waves that you meet with in the deep sea. I have already said that the Phoenicians were passionate sailors. And Phlebas, being a typical Phoenician, was also a passionate sailor. But now he is dead. And now he has forgotten what was very dear to him, the cry of gulls and the deep sea swell. The word gull can also mean dupe. To gull is a verb which means to cheat, to trick. It can be argued that the word gulls here can represent the victims of the business enterprises of Phlebas. The cry of gulls. The victims of Phlebas must have wept. The gulls of Phlebas must have cried when they realized that they had been cheated by Phlebas. Phlebas must have become rich by cheating his victims. But now he is not able to remember the gulls, the cry of gulls. And the profit and loss. I have already said that the Phoenicians were passionate sailors and obsessive businessmen and obsessive traders. The two things that they loved very much were the sea and the business that they carried out. Now Phlebas, the passionate sailor, the obsessive trader, does not remember these two things which were once very dear to his heart, because he is dead. He is not merely dead, he is a fortnight dead. T.S. Eliot was working in Lloyd's Bank while writing The Wasteland, while writing these lines. As a clerk in Lloyd's Bank, T.S. Eliot must have come across profit and loss accounts day in and day out. Hundreds of profit and loss accounts day in and day out. And he must probably have developed a kind of allergy towards them, towards profit and loss accounts. And this allergy is in a very subdued manner, probably expressed through these lines. What is now happening to Phlebas? A current under sea picked his bones in whispers. An underwater current picked his body. Phlebas, the great sailor, the great trader, has ceased to exist. And his body is being picked by an undersea current. In whispers, hardly any sound is being made. Nobody has come to know of it. Phlebas has ceased to exist. The body of Phlebas rises and falls in the water of the sea. And ironically, Phlebas experiences in his death what he could not experience in his life. The poet says, he passed the stages of his age and youth. He underwent the various phases of his life in his death, the stages of his age and youth. At the closure of the section, we get the impression that Phlebas died a young man because he was handsome, he was tall, and very probably he was young. Thus, he could not experience the bitter experience of old age in his life. But ironically, in his death, he undergoes the experience of old age and youth, entering the whirlpool. The whirlpool is a whirlpool in the sea. The whirlpool is a whirlpool in the middle of the sea. You must remember that the center of the whirlpool is motionless. It is like the eye of the storm, which is calm. The whirlpool could be a symbol. The whirlpool could be a real whirlpool, a physical whirlpool in the middle of the sea, which has sucked in the body of Phlebas. But more importantly, it could be a symbol. The whirlpool symbolizes oblivion. The whirlpool symbolizes eternity. The whirlpool symbolizes nothingness. And oblivion, eternity, nothingness are things which all of us have to experience ultimately. Gentile or Jew. Jews are the followers of the religion of Judaism who trace their descent through the ancient Hebrew people of Israel to Abraham. Gentile, I think, means non-Jew, that is all. Gentile or Jew is straight from the Bible. The Bible, especially the Old Testament, repeatedly refers to Gentile or Jew. This is part of the perspective of the Holy Bible, which categorizes the entire humanity into Jews, the chosen people of God, and Gentiles or non-Jews. Gentile or Jew means every human being, because either you're a Jew or a Gentile. If you are not a Jew, you are a Gentile. So, Gentile or Jew means every human being. Incidentally, Paul was apostle to the Gentiles, while Peter was apostle to the Jews. I have already referred to the two closing lines of the section. in which the speaker addresses you, whether you are a Gentile or a Jew. O you who turn the wheel and look to windward. The wheel, I've said, can be the wheel of fortune, can be the wheel of destiny, can be the wheel of time, can be the wheel of the universe. On a very basic level, on a very fundamental level, it can be the control of the ship. In those days, wheels were used to steer ships, to control ships. And look to windward. Windward, I've already said, is the direction from which the wind blows. Look to windward. Sailors were constantly looking at the direction of the wind because ships in those days were powered by wind power, and the direction from which the wind flowed was very important. Consider Phlebas, who was once handsome and tall as you. Take into account the story of Phlebas. He was once as handsome as you are, as tall as you are. The lines are addressed to all those people who try to attain material gains, who turn the wheel, who try to control the material world and think that they're doing great things. Remember the story of Phlebas. Take into account the narrative of Phlebas, who, as a typical Phoenician, was a successful seafarer and a successful trader. But now he lies at the bottom of the sea. Now he has been sucked into the whirlpool of eternity, into the whirlpool of oblivion. The story of Phlebas, the story of the Phoenicians, is a lesson to all empire builders. Those who forget religion, those who forget spirituality, and become obsessed with the pursuit of material gains should remember the story of Phlebas, the story of the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians were great empire builders, but ultimately their empire turned to dust.